and welcome to today's episode of Food from Fiction. We're going to do Northanger Abbey and bath buns. I found the recipe that we're going to try in a book dedicated to Jane Austen food and like health and wellness. Not entirely sure this recipe is going to work, so this video might be a fail video instead of a success, but that's fun too, right? Right, so I have flour, salt, and a little bit of sugar in this bowl. And I'm going to add some lemon zest and then mix this up real quick. Then I'm going to create like a well in the middle, like a little hole. And I'm going to add this, which is some yeast that I've been blooming. So it's in warm water with a little bit of sugar because I couldn't remember if my yeast was instant or needed some pick-me-up. It's really big, so we're gonna add it. And for anybody that's not a bread maker or a yeast user, blooming is what they call like when the yeast, I'm sure there's sciencey words, but like it's getting big and fluffy and waking up and getting ready to do its thing. Okay, I'm also going to add a beaten egg and some melted butter with some milk. So now our recipe says just to mix it up until it's like all combined, so nothing's separate, there's no flour. Surprisingly, since this is supposed to be a bread recipe, it doesn't want us to knead, so we'll see how that turns out. Alright. Okay, now I'm going to, it's all combined, I'm going to get a piece of plastic wrap or a dish towel, whatever I can find, and I'm going to cover this and leave it for an hour and a half until it triples in size, not just doubles, but gets really big. And then we will get on to the next, more exciting part. Alright, our dough has risen a lot, so that's a good sign. So I wasn't even sure that that was going to really do anything. So I'm flouring my counter, and we're supposed to, oh, this dough has turned out way nicer than I thought it would. Maybe there's hope after all. Alright, we're supposed to make it into kind of a log shape and then cut it into quarters. So we'll cut it into half, cut that half into half, and then this one. Okay, and it's a really sticky dough, just as a warning. Alright, so from this we need to end up with 12 pieces, and I'm going to show you what to do with the first couple and then show you the next step. So you pat it down, one of your 12 pieces, and then you put some raisins in it. Yes, I know, I've already spoken about my dislike for raisins. So then you just kind of make it into a little parcel tuck everything in there and underneath. And then this side, the side with all of the edges is going to go at the bottom of our pan. I put a piece of parchment paper on a 9 by 11 inch pan. So I'm going to put that in there. And then we're supposed to brush the tops with butter before letting them rest for another 30 minutes. So we'll do that. And just do it with all the remaining ones until you're done. My last piece, just gonna do this one quickly. One of the tricks about cutting dough, if you're not very familiar with it, is showing no fear. You just have to like be very authoritative and not hesitate at all. It just has to be like a smooth, defining thing. Otherwise, it tears and snags and the knife gets stuck. And that's no good. So I'm just going to finish these last couple ones up here. What my research has taught me about bath buns, because Miss Jane Austen just sort of casually, I ran out of raisins. Jane Austen just sort of casually mentions food when she does. Bath buns are sort of like a sweet breakfast roll. And obviously originate from Bath. Apparently, the English language has more words for bread than almost any other thing, which is really kind of a cool thing when you stop to think about it and consider how many words exist even just in American English for the word bread or to describe types of bread. All right, the last one. I read Northanger Abbey kind of at the same age that the heroine is at, teenage years. So when I initially read it, it didn't really strike me as a satire as it's supposed to. Partly because I think I had a lot in common with early Catherine Morland, being a tomboy, reading Gothic novels, all of those, having a way overactive imagination. That's one I should add. Alright, so now we're going to brush the tops of these with butter. Northanger Abbey is not one of my favorite Jane Austen works. I know that there's often two camps, the Pride and Prejudice camp and the Northanger Abbey, Mansfield Park camp. I don't belong to either. I actually really like Sense and Sensibility and Emma, but that's okay. I do think there's a reason for Jane Austen's works still being so popular to this day, and I don't think it's like the romance or the stories. For me, it's how realistic the characters are, in the sense that they're timeless. We all know people that act like all these different characters, and it's fun to stop and observe in a high society kind of way how these people interact. Okay, I'm going to cover this back up and let these sit and rise again for another 30 minutes, and then we will put them in the oven. and I will tune back in for the final step. Okay, our last step is putting a glaze on them, which is just milk and sugar. And then let's try that part first. Then we're supposed to press raisins into the top, more raisins. We'll see how that goes. I am far more pleased with this recipe than I thought. From the beginning, I thought we wouldn't even get this far, so. So we just push raisins into the top, and that's bath buns for you. Hopefully they taste good. They smell good. Write some feedback. Tell me what you think about Jane Austen. Are there other Jane Austen foods we should be trying to make? See you guys next week. Thanks for watching.